Good evening, and welcome to the Evening Galactic News. I'm Audrey Zimmercom. The now familiar fish-like woman announced from behind her desk, her expression grim as she read from the teleprompter. And I'm Lexi Kusach, the Vivren co-anchor announced to her right. Our first local news story tonight, Audrey began, followed by a dramatic drumbeat. Church authorities, corporate security forces and independent investigators continue the desperate citywide search for the elusive Dr. Reyes Grine, the rogue geneticist responsible for kidnapping, torture, murder, including murder of children, and a string of horrific bioexperiments remains at large, his whereabouts completely unknown. Jack sat up straighter, his attention fully locked onto the screen. Despite a citywide manhunt, no verified sightings of Dr. Grine have been made since his last known sighting during the latest clown attack. However, several local factions have reported that many incidents across the city in the past month could possibly be attributed to him, having found exsanguinated bodies, mutilated parts, and pools of gore without any sources or signs of the perpetrator to be seen. For someone hunted by the city, he certainly isn't being careful, Chio noted. Some experts speculate that Grine has gone underground, possibly in the literal sense. Reports from the Temple of Hope suggest he may be utilizing abandoned infrastructure, long-forgotten corporate bunkers, or even private research facilities owned by sympathetic benefactors, the anchor continued. However, Jack and several others perked up in their seats as the feed shifted to show a familiar Stygian woman in black robes, flinging fire at a drow warrior. The Stygian vigilante, Devil's Daughter, has resurfaced after weeks of speculation regarding her latest disappearance. She initially appeared to attack and eliminate a strike force belonging to House Malkar, but has since gone on to engage belligerents throughout the city. Viewers may recall that Devil's Daughter has previously encountered and fought Dr. Grine. However, despite numerous clashes, she has been unable to eliminate the rogue scientist to date. Well, looks like the rumors are now confirmed. Allura smiled, happy for the good news. Yeah, Scifi exclaimed. Maybe Devil's Daughter can use her magic to find Grine. Isn't that how she's found him before, Chio? Possibly, Chio admitted. Although Grine is now known to have a wizard associate, I doubt magical tracing would work now. Damn, Jack sighed. There's got to be a way to get him. The Vivren news anchor took over the report. In light of the lack of progress of the investigation, local warlord Commander Cocaine has pushed to target other individuals with active bounties, making the following announcement. The screen cut to shaky drone footage of a burning warehouse, plumes of smoke rising into the night sky, while in front Commander Cocaine stood proudly, flanked by several of his men. Oh yeah, Commander Cocaine is on the hunt, yeah. He can't be contained, yeah. The cream of the crop will rise to the top, and so are your bounties, yeah. Commander Cocaine is ready to lay the smack down on Dr. Grine when he finds him, yeah. Just like he did with House Malkar, yeah. Just like he will with anybody with an active bounty, yeah. I'll take you to the pain dimension, bitch, yeah. I'll claim your reward money, crunch it down and snort that shit. Oh yeah! The broadcast cut to a quick public reaction clip. A flustered shop owner standing outside his ruined storefront, shaking his head. I mean, yeah. He massacred all the gangsters threatening the neighborhood, but for some reason, he also kicked my delivery drone into my store window. What the fuck am I supposed to write on my insurance claim? Next to Jack, Scifi was wheezing with laughter, clutching her sides. By the gods, I love this guy! Allura let out a groan, rubbing her temples. You shouldn't. He's a walking calamity, and all of us have active bounties. I would certainly not wish to meet him, Chio agreed. Some of the rumors out there are saying he's thinking of attacking Night Whisper Manor after clearing out the Zorn and enough city threats. Nika spoke up. I mean, if he's insane enough to go for that, then he won't be coming back. Yeah, Jack agreed. Remembering what he had been told about the highly dangerous dark zone outside of town that generated undead, and how those rare few that returned alive never did so intact, and that was only from the yellow zones. And now for our next story, Audrey Zimmercon continued. Boom boom, went the drum beat. The image on the screen changed to a dimly lit street, with shaky footage, obviously taken from a passerby, showing a blurred figure in a tattered-long coat and a wide-brimmed hat, moving unnervingly fast between pools of flickering neon, laughing maniacally as they rounded a street corner and disappeared, amidst yells of outrage. The camera panned around to show an outraged Zarek woman in a short dress sat on the ground, rubbing her backside and yelling expletives, with a loud voice in the distance yelling, "Spanko!" right before the footage ended. "Oh shit!" Scifi exclaimed. "Whipping Tom's still about! That has to be him!" In the aftermath of a spree of attacks committed within the space of approximately 7 minutes, which occurred at their Kabuki Entertainment District late yesterday evening, Neo-Joy authorities have confirmed that they are still searching for leads on the elusive assailant, who is believed to be the notorious serial attacker, Whipping Tom. "Oh, come on, Allura," Nika spoke up. "We can totally go for his bounty." "Where would we even begin finding him?" Allura asked, as the Aladri slouched down in her chair and raised her eyebrows at the Kizan. "We don't need to find him," Scifi grinned. "He can find us. We can use Chio as bait." "I swear I'll throw you out a window, Scifi," the unamused Alithi retorted. Jack chuckled at the banter. "For those unfamiliar," the news anchor continued, "Whipping Tom has become infamous for his sudden, unprovoked attacks, ambushing isolated victims, who are usually scantily dressed women under the cover of darkness, and spanking them on the buttocks or upper legs for several seconds with a rod before fleeing the scene. Eyewitness accounts describe the attacker as really fucking fast and giggling like a motherfucker in the aftermath of his assaults." "His bounty will no doubt be going up," Chio reasoned, "though anyone that gets him will probably just be lucky enough to be nearby, unless they're able to identify them. But that blur enchantment he keeps up stops that from happening. Either he has some magic himself, or an enchanted item that keeps his appearance hidden." "Citizens are urged to stay alert for any further attacks," the news anchor concluded. "That's right, Audrey," the Vivren news anchor confirmed with a grim expression, before continuing. "Our next headline." Again, there was a dramatic, yet frankly unnecessary drumbeat. Despite the severe clashes of recent weeks, it appears that the corporate hostilities between Corvin Enterprises and the Mirrodin-Shaskazaki alliance are beginning to stabilize. While isolated skirmishes continue, particularly in disputed industrial zones and off-world assets, the widespread destruction seen in prior engagements has notably decreased. "Thank goodness for that," Allura sighed. "This city has suffered enough, though this could have been much, much worse." "Yeah, you're right. I reckon Corvin Enterprises were holding back," Nika added. "We've seen them feel much worse the last time the killer clown came calling 2 years ago." "That's probably the reason they're holding back and didn't push for many gains," Chio reasoned. "Maybe to bait the killer clown out?" "It worked last time," Scifi grinned. "Doesn't necessarily mean it'll work again," Jack pointed out. "They're batshit crazy, but from what I've seen, they're cunning." With both sides now consolidating their positions, our analysts believe the conflict has entered a cold phase. The news reporter continued. Local economies have begun to recover from the initial shock, and normal business operations have resumed in most districts, albeit under increased security measures. "No megacorp is going to admit to losing," Nika sighed. "But Mirrodin and Shaskazaki only wanted to make gains against Corvin and hold them in check, but they failed." "Makes you wonder what'll happen when Corvin actually tries to take them out," Scifi shuddered. In the aftermath, Corvin Enterprises has triggered mass outrage by refusing to release prisoners, many of which belong to Mirrodin Magic Technology or Shaskazaki Cybertronics, including several mercenary groups, bounty hunters, and several members of the Shaskazaki family, despite prisoner exchanges and ransoms being offered. The reporter continued. "Well, we know what that means," Nika grunted. "Hellring." Allura scowled. "Along with their other foul shows." "Almost definitely," Chio nodded. For now, Naganai breathes a sigh of relief as open hostilities dwindle, but experts caution that without any formal agreement, tensions remain high and conflict can easily resume. Only time will tell whether this fragile stability holds. the news anchor concluded, oblivious to the group's growing unease. "Let's hope so," Jack growled. "I remember when we had to cross the city overnight to get home right when it all kicked off." "Well, hopefully it stays quiet when we get back to school," Scifi added. "The less detours we need to take, the longer we get to sleep in the mornings." The news anchor's face remained composed, but the slight tension in her voice betrayed the gravity of the next segment. The Temple of Hope has released an update concerning the ongoing hunt for the notorious criminal known as the Quizzer. Inquisitors remain locked in pursuit of the sadistic game show host, following the live-streamed release of yet another gruesome episode of his so-called competition. The screen cut to a grainy, watermarked recording, likely an intercepted broadcast from the deepest parts of the datanet. The footage displayed a brightly lit, underground set that reminded Jack of a particularly wild Japanese game show, as spotlights illuminated at least 7 terrified, blindfolded contestants who were standing on precariously thin platforms above a pool of unknown bubbling liquid, while a towering animatronic scoreboard tallied some unseen progress. The sound cut out, replaced by the news anchor's voiceover. While we will not be airing the full footage due to its highly graphic and disturbing nature, what we can confirm is that 10 individuals were forced into a series of deadly, quiz-based challenges. According to investigators, the only survivor was the winner of the game, who was discovered unconscious 7 weeks ago in the cluster of loosely habited districts locally known as the Puddles, subjected to heavy anesthesia, and they remain in a medical coma. Scifi winced. "Oof. That's worse than usual." "Fuck," Jack muttered out. In what investigators are calling a small victory, a strike force from the Temple of Hope successfully located and raided a suspected former Quizzer hideout earlier this week. Audrey Zimmercon continued. However, the facility was discovered to be long abandoned, yielding little more than elaborate sets, puzzle mechanisms, and outdated broadcasting equipment. No trace of the Quizzer himself or any live captives were found. Chio shook her head. "That's what, the 3rd time now? Every time they find one of his hideouts, it's been cleaned out weeks in advance." "Pretty much," Nika agreed. "I wouldn't be surprised if he changes locations with every game. Some are definitely held somewhere in the Gloom Pass which nobody can find, but if he's cocky enough to upload the footage, he's definitely gone before someone can analyze it." The news anchor continued. Though investigators maintain that all evidence points to the Quizzer operating independently, rumours continue to mount regarding possible corporate involvement. "Yeah," Scifi muttered darkly. "I mean, look at the setup. Holographic effects, heavy encryption, high production value, and all the new traps he keeps making. He's definitely got some backing. Hell, he's probably got the blessing of Jingabosh for this shit." "I wouldn't put it past Corvin Enterprises trying to recruit this guy if he doesn't work for them already." Carson spoke up from where the armadillo girl was sipping her tea. Alora folded her arms. "If a megacorp is backing him, we'd never know. Not officially. My guess is that he's supported independently." "Like some bored rich arseholes sponsoring him for entertainment?" Jack asked rhetorically. His mind drifted to the worst stories he'd heard of the ultra-rich and powerful from Earth, quickly conjuring up mental pictures of Epstein Island. I can believe it. Following the breaking news of the discovery of his recent hideout, the following video was live-streamed to NetTube, and analysts have confirmed its authenticity. The voice on the TV continued. The screen cut to a swirling mass of static, before resolving into a gaudy, neon-drenched stage, filled with confetti and flashing lights. A massive spinning wheel stood in the background, covered in ominous symbols, chains, knives, and question marks. Spotlights swept across the set before focusing on the center, where a tall, impeccably dressed man in a glittering magenta suit and top hat suddenly appeared with a puff of smoke and a dramatic sound cue, taking a long bow to the camera. His face was mostly hidden behind a sleek, custom-molded mask, which was white with gold filigree, covering all of his face except for his wide grin, which Jack could see was natural, as it revealed a row of sparkling white teeth, which curled up in a grin. "Congratulations on finding the site of my latest game, my dear, ever gallant pursuers!" the quizzer exclaimed theatrically in an arrogant tone as he threw his arms wide, reveling in the spotlight while cheers and applause was piped in. I hope you all had a fun little field trip through my old set. Did you find anything juicy? Anything scandalous? He gasped dramatically as the sound effect of laughter was added. Did you honestly think I'd still be there? But don't worry, I left my autograph for those fans of mine out there. The feed cut to black for a brief moment, before flashing back with an extreme close-up of his mask-covered face, filling the screen. And speaking of my adoring fans out there, don't you worry. I have been just dying to make things more interesting. What could that be? Well, you'll just have to wait for the next show. Ta-ta for now! The video ended abruptly, cutting back to the news anchor, her expression carefully neutral, but the tension in her posture was unmistakable. The investigation continues. Temple of Hope authorities are urging anybody with any information to come forward. The same dramatic beat occurred once more, as the camera panned back to the Vivren. In lighter news, Naganai's rebuilding efforts have seen a major boost thanks to the efforts of several high-profile philanthropists and influencers, including the top-subscribed NetTuber, Mr. Monster, professional gamer, Double Dalash, and the city's favourite trickster, the Dragon, Fomordarinth. The screen shifted to a pre-recorded segment, showing a massive crowd that was gathered in a devastated district that had clearly seen recent signs of fighting. Workers and volunteers bustled about clearing the debris, guided by drones that hovered overhead, delivering supplies. In front of several cameras, a young, grinning mammalian biped with well-groomed bluish-grey fur and light red beast-like features spoke to the audience. What's up, everyone? I'm Mr. Monster, and we're out here making big changes today, folks, he boomed, gesturing around him. This neighborhood got hit hard in the corpse skirmishes, but thanks to all your donations and the help of some amazing local factions, we're bringing it back better than ever. It's incredible seeing the outpouring of support, the Vivren news anchor continued, as the footage returned to the studio. And finally, I have just received word that we have breaking news. Our correspondent Larix is at the scene to tell us more. Audrey Zimmercon concluded, as the image on screen shifted, the bright red and white holographic displays replaced by a cordoned-off alleyway with a dull white neon light illuminating the scene. The camera panned around, showing armed individuals that looked to be carefully scanning the frost-covered pavement outside, until it finally focused on a nervous-looking field reporter with a microphone, a lister they had seen a few times before when they had watched the news. Good evening, Audrey. I'm standing outside the scene of a brutal killing tonight in Glatzura Barrens, Larix began, his voice tense. Local militia have confirmed at least 10 deceased individuals, although due to the nature of the scene there may be more, including an individual that has been confirmed as the local vigilante, Red Warden. Several gasps suddenly erupted from around the room. Oh, fuck, Nika finally muttered, sitting forward. The brutal nature of the scene and the confirmed widespread use of frost magic suggests a likely connection to the infamous serial killer known as Chillwalker. The screen shifted, showing drone footage of the alley from above. The path into the alley was coated in a thicker layer of ice, despite the city's relatively warm climate as of late, with jagged crystalline growths spearing up from the walls where moisture had frozen solid. And at the center of it all, holy shit, Chio exclaimed. A reptilian figure in a bright red coat was frozen mid-motion, arms raised as if to shield themselves, resembling a grotesque sculpture, as their face was encased in ice in a terrified expression. The bodies were discovered just an hour ago in this very alleyway, Larix continued. The scene bears several hallmarks of Chillwalker's previous killings, with extensive frost damage to the limbs, a shattered ribcage, and telltale signs of cryogenic crystallization in the blood. Scifi let out a low whistle. Damn, that's some horror movie shit. Vanya's gaze darkened. It always is with Chillwalker. He's one of the worst killers in this city, And that's the fourth vigilante he's known to have killed so far. Not only that, but they've been very active recently, Allura added. It's like everything putting the city on high alert these last weeks have emboldened him rather than scared him. Well, many serial killers are the thrill-seeking type that get off on that kind of thing. Vanya shrugged back, with Jack remembering the tuner having a considerable interest on the subject of killers. Though it's hard to tell if that applies to Chillwalker. They're careful, and he's been on the list of our local most wanted for quite some time now. What? You mean like the killer clown? Jack asked. He knew of 4 of the names of the top 10, but he was surprised a local serial killer qualified. No, you're thinking of the top 10 bounties across the entirety of Hive Station Bastila, Chio clarified. The Naganai most wanted are for local threats, like Nala Strixundral, for example. You can just call him Blightooth or the Plague Dragon, Chio, Scifi interrupted with a scoff. Ain't nobody got time to remember complicated-ass dragon names nobody can pronounce. Not even Luvia's, Jack quipped, which got the scritter giggling. Well, regardless, you should consider them separate things, Chio told Jack, who nodded in understanding. The Naganai most wanted also vary in number and is a bit more unofficial, but is usually between 5 to 20 names or organizations that are local threats with high bounties. Gotcha, Jack nodded. Though I better not be up there. You're not, Allura laughed from across the room. So paranoid. Back on the screen, the reporter's expression was grim. And arcane signatures have been recorded. Once again, this reporter urges city residents to avoid isolated areas after dark and to be cautious of any sudden temperature drops. Yeah, like that's gonna help, Vanya sighed, before looking to Jack for context. Nobody knows for sure what Chillwalker actually looks like. They've never appeared on a camera, and anyone who's ever claimed to see him is either an outright liar or just unreliable. Yet the extensive use of cryomancy is their signature, Chio added. Yeah, most of the rumors online reckon he's an ex-corpo gone rogue, probably with Mirrodin or something. Scifi shrugged. Definitely a powerful wizard or something of the sort. Yeah, Nika sighed, as the rest of the room grew quiet in the aftermath of that grim news. Let's watch something else, Allura finally spoke up, and Nika dutifully threw her the remote.